Welcome to the Attractions Group Podcast, episode number 97. Alongside Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig. Ryan, how you doing?
Pretty darn good. How are you doing?
Doing great. I wish things would slow down because we're already in the middle of June here, and so many places I want to go visit and see and get back to again. And I just wish things would slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Wise man once said, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around every once in a while, you might miss something. I don't remember who said that, though. All right. So before we go into today's episode, and we do have a very, very cool episode for you today, just remind you that you can find us on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple, Google, Spotify, you know the drill. And then we do a video version that's on YouTube by searching for the Attractions Group Podcast. So if you're on there, then welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Let's make it a party. Don, who's our special guest today?
Well, very excited about our guest. He serves as the president and CEO of Holiday World and Splashin Safari. Of course, I'm talking about Matt Eckert. Matt, welcome to the Attractions Group Podcast.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're thrilled to have you here. Can we start off, can you share a bit about your background and how you got started in the theme park industry?
Sure. It's a pretty unconventional entry and start to the industry itself. I grew up going to Holiday World, started out Santa Claus land every year, as a kid. And that was kind of just a treat that we got to do every single year, once a summer. I went to college and I got my degree in accounting and insurance at Indiana State University. I actually started my career in public accounting. So I am a CPA, which seems kind of an unlikely path, I think, maybe to get where I am now. I was working in public accounting, and I had a friend that worked at Holiday World all throughout college that I met in school, and he was working there full time. And there was a director of accounting position open, and he said, "Hey, our president, Will Cook, I was telling him about you. Would you be interested in coming and talking to him and learning more about the job?" And I said, "Not really. I like what I'm doing." He's like, "Well, would you just stop in, maybe next time you're home?" And I said, "Well, I happen to be coming home this weekend, so sure." So that Saturday, I went and sat down and talked to Will Cook for what I thought was going to be just a 10-minute chat. It ended up being like a 3-hour conversation. And the rest is history. Will called me the next day and said, "Hey, we really would like for you to join us, not just because of your skill sets, but because we feel like you fit who we are. Like you feel like somebody that should be working here at Holiday World Splashin Safari." And my wife and I had just gotten married, and we were both from that area. So we said, "You know what, this sounds like a great opportunity. Let's do it." And so that's when I started back on Valentine's Day, started on holiday back in 2000. So
let's talk about the different roles that you've had at Holiday World. Some different things that you've been involved with, and how your background maybe translates to what you're doing today.
Sure. So, I started off as the director of accounting and finance. That was my initial role, and that kind of fell in line with what my educational training was as a certified public accountant. And so I was in that role until 2007. And that was when, Will decided, he's like, "You know what, he flat out said, he's like, I'm not good at managing people. Like, that's not what I do well. I'm better at the bigger picture things and the strategic planning." And he's like, "So I'd like to kind of give up the management side of the people of our business." And so he created 2 new general manager positions at that time. So we had a general manager of what we called guest experience and a general manager of shared services. So I took over as general manager of shared services at that point. So basically that was pretty much all back of house type activities. So that was accounting and finance, but also included HR and warehousing and admissions, and entertainment was one of them. Like, that was something that was unusual. So I got to do and see a lot of different behind the house activities, marketing, sales, advertising, communication. So all of those things kind of fell under my umbrella. And then sadly, as everyone knows, Will unfortunately unexpectedly passed away in 2010. It was devastating for everyone, obviously, not just the park, but for the industry itself. And then in 2013, the family asked me to take over as president and CEO, which was A huge honor. I'm the first non-family member to ever be in this position, and it's just a great honor to follow in Will's footsteps. And I've been doing this since 2013.
So now you serve as president and CEO. So that's tantamount to the general manager of the park, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yep.
This is a question that always fascinates me because it's very different depending on the park. But can you walk us through what a day is like, both during the off season and when the park's open, as the CEO, general manager of Holiday World?
So I would say that my answer is not a good answer because there is no exact day. Every day is completely and totally different. Our off season obviously is busy, um, just getting the park ready for opening, and that includes not only all of the hiring that goes on, but that also includes all of the construction and the park maintenance and the painting, and that includes all of our marketing and advertisement developments and our PR campaigns that we're developing. So all of that stuff is happening in the off season. So a lot of times I tell people I'm probably busier when we're not open than when we are, quite honestly. And then when the park does open, then obviously we switch gears. We're in go mode at that point. We're in operation mode. We're in creating that guest experience every single day, and every single day is different. Every guest is different. So the way that we're going to create a memory for them may be different than the way we create a memory for the guest the next day. And we've just got to find out what it is that makes that special. So every day is different. And that's one thing that I love about what we do, what I love about our industry.
Yeah, just from my time working in the industry, you're right. Every day was different. It was never the same thing twice almost. But let's talk about leadership. What is your leadership philosophy? And how do you motivate your team to deliver their best performance? Because every time that I've been there in the last couple years, everybody from whether they're working in you know food and beverage, their park sweep, they're working a ride, whatever it may be, everybody's on their A game.
Sure, I appreciate that, and I'm very proud of our people. I think our people is truly what makes us different. And in terms of my leadership philosophy, I have the best team ever on the planet, and my philosophy has always been hire people that are smarter than you. So I look at my four VPs that report to me, in each of their respective fields. I look to them as the experts, and I know a little bit about everything to be dangerous, but I don't know everything about all. And I feel like they do. So I think that it's very important to have trust in the team that you create and know that they're going to deliver. And that starts all the way at the top, all the way down to a first day employee. And I think it's also important, a philosophy that we've always had at the park, and I embrace and encourage, is there's no job beneath anyone. If I'm walking through the park and there's a line, a funnel cake factory, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to help make funnel cakes. I might be kicked out because I'm not doing it as fast as what our employees are doing, and they will tell me very quickly, Matt, you can go find someplace else. But that's just the mindset I think that we all have is we do what we need to do to get the job done to make the guest happy.
So Matt, I feel like I've asked a lot of park presidents the question of what's the most rewarding part of the job, and the answer is always seeing smiles on people's faces and so on. But I feel like for you, Holiday World is a unique place in the industry, being family owned and Christian values and that sort of stuff. So particularly when it comes to Holiday World, what is the most rewarding part?
I think the most rewarding part for me is, I use myself kind of as a personal example. I grew up coming to the park, as a child, and now, every time I step foot, even having worked there as long as I do, every time I step foot out into the park, just a flood of family memories comes back to me. And I think that's the thing for me, is I feel like somewhere along the line, every single guest that has come to our park has been touched in some way, shape, or form, and has formed some kind of really special memory with a family member or a loved one. And we do what we can to kind of make our park a home. Like, we want people to feel like they are coming home when they come to our park. Like, they feel comfortable, they feel safe, they feel like they are wanted. there, and they're not just a number. When you come to our park, you are something special. We want to make sure you feel that way.
Matt, it's a tough industry, especially in today's world. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that the industry is currently facing, and how is Holiday World addressing those?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of the challenges that we face aren't necessarily specific to our industry per se. Obviously, with the pandemic, I think everyone is still trying to find their footing as they are continuing to again just kind of get back on our feet. And luckily, I think we're an industry that's very elastic. And when pandemic hit, I said, I told our team, I'm like, we're going to be fine. Like, we are a very elastic industry, and we will come back, and we will come back stronger than ever. And we did. And I think so many of our colleagues in the industry have had the same experience. In terms of specifically for us, what's been a challenge for us the past several years, even pre-pandemic, was staffing. Finding enough employees and team members to fully staff our park. And just last year, we kept talking about, okay, well, what's our next ride we're going to build? What are we going to add? And my philosophy was, we're not going to build anything until we can make sure we have enough team members to run what we build. When a guest pays to come to a park, they want everything to be open. They don't want to walk around, even if it's a ride that they're not going to ride. They still want to see that it's open because they paid to come for a full experience. So last year we built a dorm, which was something pretty monumental for us. I think it's probably one of the definitely a game-changing move that we've made. And for the first time this year, well, we were fully staffed next year, but for this time, for us this year, it's the middle of June. We're not hiring. We're not hiring right now because we have more employees than we anticipated having, with not only our J1 visa program, but our domestic hires are up also. So I feel like building that dormitory for us was a game-changing move that really helped us solve a problem that was facing the industry and facing us.
Matt, Holiday World has a rich history, and having been to the park several times, I know that you guys embrace it with the Santa Claus land and so on. But with that being said, you've been able to add new attractions, Good Gravy, Thunderbird, things like that. How do you add modern attractions but still maintain the charm that you've had for the past 50, 60, 70 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think that's one of our biggest challenges, because we've always, prided ourselves on being a small park with big values. And at this point in time, we're not a small park anymore. But I say all the time that it's very important to, we're a big park, we need to maintain that small park feel, because that's what our guests have come to love about us, and that's what they expect when they come to the park. So I think it's just the way that you treat your guests. We have a mantra that we kind of follow called "Look at me, smile at me, talk to me, thank me." So when a guest walks through the gate, or if you see a guest walking through the park, make eye contact with them. As soon as you make eye contact with them, you created a relationship at that point. Look at me, then smile at me. Smiles are infectious. You smile at somebody, the odds are they're going to smile back, and you've just made their day just a little bit better. Talk to me. Just it doesn't have to be a full-fledged conversation, but it can be a, hey, how's it going? Hey, how are you doing? How's your day? Or hope you have a good time. Just that little nicety can go a long way. And then finally, thank me. And I say all the time, it's what are we thanking them for? Well, we're thanking them for their time. There's so many things that they could be choosing to do with their day or with their vacation, and just the fact that they chose to come spend it with us, we owe them our gratitude, and we should thank them. I think just making sure that we impart upon all of our guests that feeling of gratitude, I think truly makes you feel like, again, I go back to, you feel like you're at home, and it provides a different experience than what you might get at another park.
Matt, the guest experience, it's crucial. And what you do at Holiday World, I mean, you're hitting the mark in terms of providing that great guest experience. But just take it a little bit further than what you just touched on. What do you do at Holiday World to ensure that visitors have that memorable and enjoyable time?
Sure. Like I said, besides the look at me, smile at me, talk to me, thank me, we, really go out of our way, I feel, to like hone in on what it is that our guests are wanting and what's important to them and what are things that, they desire when they're at the park. We listen to our guests. We get tons and tons of comments on social media and through email. And, you may think you're sending these in and we're just hitting the delete button. We're not. Like, we are compiling all of this information, and we look for trends, we look for themes, and we look for what is it that's going to provide our guests the best experience. What are they asking for? What's important to them, and what's not important to them? If something's not important to them and we're doing it, let's stop doing it. Like, let's do the things that matter. And I think that's one of the keys to providing a good guest experience is listening to your guests. Like, listen to what they have to say and try to what it is that they're asking for. And I think that if you do those things and you provide it in a way that goes above and beyond what they expect, then they're gonna have the best experience they possibly could have.
So, Matt, Holiday World has been consistently ranked one of the best value destinations, and some of the reasons are free soft drinks, free parking, free sunscreen, free Wi-Fi, things like that. How has been like giving away so many things that could be monetized? How's that been a successful program for you?
So I love that you asked that question, because that's one of the first stories that I have of my interactions with Will when I started. So like I said, I'm a CPA by trade. So I'm very detail oriented, and I like to see what is being profitable for us and what's not. And so the year that I started, 2000, that was the same year that we started the free unlimited soft drinks. And Will came into my office and he sat down. He's like, "Okay, I got this great idea." He's like, "I think we need to start offering free unlimited soft drinks." And I literally looked at him and I said, "Will, are you stupid? Do you know what our per caps are on soft drinks? Like, really?" He's like, No, hear me out. And so then he started going through like all of the positives of doing a program like free unlimited soft drinks. And I am more than happy to say that I was never more wrong than I was at that point in time. That was one of the most brilliant moves that we ever made. And that kind of started off the trend of, what are some things that we can continue to do to provide a great value to our guests. And so we were already doing free parking. Now we're doing free soft drinks. And then we said, okay, well, let's offer free sunscreen. Let's put sunscreen station throughout the park, because that's a great service. Lots of families may forget to bring sunscreen and they don't have to go buy it. So we don't want them to leave our park miserable. We want them to leave our park at the end of the day without a bad sunburn. Let's provide free sunscreen. So then we started thinking, okay, and this was just recently, this was last year. It's like, okay, what's one more value offering that we can do? So we started offering free pre-K season passes. So if you're in preschool, you get a free season pass to come to the park. So that to me is a huge value offering that we have as well. And so I think that doing those kinds of things, again, is one more thing that sets us apart. And does it erode our profitability? I don't think so. I think that our guests come to the park with a discretionary amount of money that they're going to allow themselves to spend during the day. And, providing those small amenities like that isn't going to deter their spending patterns. It's going to, if anything, increase it and improve it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, for me, if I'm not spending money on the soft drinks and the sunscreen and some of those other things, parking, yeah, I have money to buy a T-shirt or something else to remember my visit from.
Yeah, and one of the things that we saw was length of stay for our guests. Because they had more money in their pocket, they stayed later in the day and they bought an extra meal at the end of the day. So instead of leaving at 5 or 5:30 or 6 o'clock to go grab dinner somewhere else outside of the park, they had money in their pockets. So they're like, what, let's just stay and let's just have a meal here. And so that increased the length of stay. So that was just one, and that was one of the many benefits Will lined out. He's like, "Matt, this is going to happen. I guarantee this is going to happen." And he listed like 6 other things, and all 6 of those things happened. So yeah, it's pretty amazing what the power of perceived value can do for a person.
And another thing that's great value for the guest is your worry-free weather guarantee.
Yeah, that's something that we started a few years ago. And, not that we're unique, but Indiana has some pretty unusual weather patterns in the summers. This past 2 weeks has been a great example. Just last week it was raining and cold, and today it was hot and sunny. But we started talking about, what? Our meteorologists are constantly putting out, okay, there's a 40% chance of rain today. Okay, well, there's a 60% chance that it's not going to rain today. You're not saying that. But what people see is they see that little cloud and they're like, yeah, I don't want to risk it. I don't want to, spend my money and go spend a day at the park. So what can we do to, deter that from happening? What can we do to still, let our guests know, hey, why don't you go ahead and try to come, because odds are you're going to have a great day. If by chance, the weather would turn ugly, turn sour, and we would have rain for a more than a 90-minute time block during the day, we're going to give you a ticket to come back another day. We know that's not what you paid for. We know you didn't pay for a day to come when it's rainy. We want you to have a full experience. So have no worries. It's worry free. Come, give it a try. If it doesn't work out, we're going to give you a ticket to come back sometime the rest of the season.
Yeah, very cool program. Let's move on to the most delicious part of Holiday World, good gravy.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to experience it. Very, very cool. Can you tell us about the inspiration behind the new attraction, especially the theme?
So we had this space open in the park for a number of years. It's where the Pilgrim Plunge at one point was, and when we took that down, our guests have been asking every year, what's going in there? What's going in there? What are you going to put in there? And the response and the thought process was, we're not going to put anything in there until it's the right thing. It's got to be the right thing. We're not going to put something there just for the sake of putting it there. So a few years back, we were at IAPA and we met with Vekoma, and we started talking about the desire for us to have an in-betweener. We have the Howler up in Hollow Funtown, which is a kiddie coaster. And then the next one after that is the Raven, which is our most mild of wooden coasters, but mild's really not a word I would use for it. So we're like, we need to have some kind of in-betweener coaster that kids who aren't quite ready for the Raven, but who feel like they've outgrown the Howler, want to do. And so when we talked to Vekoma, we started talking about the family boomerang concept. And, then we're like, okay, we have this footprint that we're wanting to put this coaster. We don't want it to be just a cookie cutter model. Can we modify it so that it fits the layout of where we want to put it? And Vekoma said, absolutely. And so at that point, we knew, okay, we're doing a family boomerang coaster. We're putting it in Thanksgiving. Now we need to come up with a name. There's not a lot of great names for Thanksgiving. I feel like we've used a lot of them. So that's where one of the biggest challenge kind of came into play.
So the development process with Good Gravy, the whole teaser campaign, throughout the construction process, I don't know that, I've ever seen any park have more fun than your team there did. But talk about that, just how everybody went about developing that backstory and just creating all the, the things you did for the teaser campaign leading up to the opening of it.
Sure. This has been an incredibly fun project. We've had so much fun with it. Everybody throughout the organization has had a part of how it came about. And so from the beginning, whenever we start a new project, it's kind of top secret. We don't tell a lot of people. We keep things pretty close to our chest, but we assign a project name to it. So the project name of this attraction, we knew it was going in Thanksgiving, so we called it Project Gravy Boat. That wasn't the name of the ride. That's just the project name that we had. So throughout time, we just kept saying, okay, well, this is Project Gravy Boat. Let's come up with a name. Let's start shooting, just start spouting out ideas. And I don't remember who it was, to be honest, but somebody's like, oh, Good Gravy. And we're like, that's it. That's it. That's the perfect name for this ride. And who else could do it besides us? Who else could get away with naming a coaster Good Gravy and it makes sense? It's perfectly ridiculous, and that's what we love about it. So they're like, okay, now we're also, we're the nation's first theme park. let's own that. Like let's develop this concept. Let's make this something that is unlike anything else that we have in the park. And let's come up with, a storyline. And so Leah Cook kind of sat down and she started brainstorming some ideas and some concepts, and how do we tie this into Grandma Abigail over in Gobbler Getaway? Like how let's develop a full story. And so that's where we came up with part of the Vance Noodles is Gracie Vance Noodle, and she makes this fantastic gravy, and she ran out on Thanksgiving, and Grandpa Gavin's like, "Where's the gravy?" And so that's kind of the whole storyline of this attraction is we're putting you in a train shaped like a gravy boat, and we're taking you on this journey throughout the land that we've created, Stuffing Springs, and there's bigger than life size whisks and milk bottles and all kinds of kitchen utensils and items, and it's just a really fun attraction. I've actually said that it's really not an attraction; it's more of an experience for me than it is an attraction. Just from the time that you start off in the station until the time you get back to the station after the ride, like it's a full-fledged experience.
Yeah, Matt. So, when we're talking about good gravy, there's two aspects of it. There's the Q house. Well, there's not the ride, and there is the ride. Let's put it that way, because the experience starts
Right.
before the Q house. But can you talk about some of the elements of the ride itself that sets it apart from other similar rides?
Sure. So it is a family boomerang, so it's not necessarily unique in that aspect. But for us, it's the theming that we have incorporated into the attraction. We start off with pulling you up a 70-foot spike, and it flies you through the garage of the Vance Noodles house. And you immediately, after you fly through the garage, you go around an embankment and you fly through a cranberry can, a ginormous cranberry can. Which is very cool at night. It's lit up and it's red when you fly through it, so that's kind of neat. And then again, like I said, you fly by 15 feet tall whisks and 15 feet tall stuffing boxes and 15 feet tall milk bottles until we take you up another spike of 70 feet, and then you go backwards all the way back through Stuffing Springs back into the station. So it's just a bunch of twists and turns right from the very beginning, but it's still mild enough for younger kids because it's aimed at the height limit is 38 inches. So that's kind of a 3-year-old ish, maybe a taller 3-year-old. So I say all the time, we have kids from 3 years old all the way from kids to 90 who are riding this ride and absolutely loving it. And that's really cool.
Matt, you mentioned, about it being an experience, not just a ride. And when Ryan and I were there for the media day event, and then when I went back again a couple of weeks ago, it's two different things. It is the ride, but it's also the experience. So when you were first planning this, is that something you were looking for it to be, or did it just kind of evolve into that, where it was two different things?
No, it was definitely something that we wanted it to be. Like I said, we wanted this to be something unlike we've ever done. And so when we started planning the station, and we started planning, okay, well, this is going to be Grandma Gracie and Grandpa Gavin's house. Like, from an experiential standpoint, from a thematic standpoint, we want our guests to feel something when the time they step into that station until they leave. And we put so much thought into every single little detail that's in there. And that's one thing I love is, even to this day, I know everything that's in there, but every time I walk through, I notice something different, and I notice something that's like, oh yeah, I forgot that we did that. And the whole thought process there is we wanted to touch people. And I, again, using myself as a personal example, the first time that I walked in and I walked past the kitchen. So in the station, we have a living room, we have a kid's bedroom, we have a bathroom, we have a study, we have a dining room, we have a kitchen. The very first time I walked in and I walked by the kitchen counters in our kitchen are this orange Formica countertop that my grandma had in her house, like literally had in her house. I had no part in picking this out at all. But as soon as I saw that, it just took me back in time to my childhood, and it made me think of my family. And I told Lauren Crosby, she's kind of our theming expert. She's one of our owners as well. And I told her, I'm like, Lauren, this was ugly then and it's ugly now. And she's like, no, we're not using the word ugly. We're using the word perfectly tacky. I'm like, that is exactly what this is. Like, things in here are just perfectly tacky. And it just reminds me so much of my childhood. And that's something I've been telling lots of people when I'm out in Stuffing Springs. And, we'll have some families that come like, no, we don't do coasters. Our kids are going to do. I'm like, well, just walk through the station. You don't have to ride the coaster. Just walk through the station. And I guarantee that you're going to be glad that you did. And every single person has come out has been like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And that's just a great feeling to know that we're able to, even if you're not a coaster lover and you love coasters, great. But we wanted to create something that's going to bring joy to everybody. And I think that this really has done that. And I've been very bold in saying that I think this is possibly going to be more popular than Thunderbird was.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about it is in every room, you're going to find something that your grandma had or your mom had
Right.
or whatever. It's going to be nostalgic no matter what. And you mentioned the Formica like countertops and stuff. I don't remember exactly what came to mind for me, but there was something in the dining room that my grandma had too. So that was a weird connection as well. But let's shift gears to like
and the last time I walked. I was gonna say the last time I walked in, again, I noticed something every time, and I was looking in the living room, and there's like this glass chicken dish. I'm like, holy cow! Like my mom had that same chicken dish, and I told somebody that I'm like, did you give that to us? I'm like, no, I didn't, but it's the exact same one my mom had.
Yeah, it's funny because the creativity behind like finding these things, and I guess like maybe Lauren just came across. I mean, I know she had a team of people searching through the secondhand stores and so on, but the creativity behind just finding those things and remembering those things just has to be incredible. But let me shift gears a little bit. So what were some of the challenges that you faced during the design and construction of Good Gravy?
And I've thought about this question a lot, and we clearly have that. It seems like with every project we've done. And I'm not just saying this, but this has probably been the smoothest project we have ever had during the history of the park, just from start to finish. Working with Vekoma has been absolutely phenomenal. We'd never done a project with them before. And from a design build standpoint, the creative design firm that we used, from the construction to the creative, like every single thing just seemed to fall in line. We finished the attraction early, so we were able to get in a lot of our testing done much more quickly than what we had done in the past. Weather days were great for us in terms of when we needed to shoot footage of the attraction, and it just seems like every single star that needed to line up this time did. So it sounds crazy for me to say that we didn't have any challenges, but on this attraction we really didn't.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So Matt, what were some of the most rewarding aspects?
Sorry, what was that?
I said I can't say that about other attractions we've done. I mean, you've been in the business long enough, Don, to know that there's always going to be something. I mean, there just is.
Yeah, things come up that you weren't expecting, or you have a bad winter and you just get delayed, or maybe there's supply chain issues, whatever it might be. But so you go through the process. You have the creative, you come up with the backstory. You're seeing it all come together. So once it opened, what did that feel like?
It was a fantastic feeling. Again, just seeing how many people it truly touched and how many people truly enjoyed it that didn't think that they would. Just thought that my 15-year-old son, who thought this isn't going to be cool, he loved it. He liked it because it was just it offers a lot of different surprises on a lot of different levels. Not only from how thrilling the attraction really is, it's not a kiddie ride, but from the thematic elements, not only in the station, but even, I haven't even talked about, like, even in the plaza, like there's, we want to make sure there was something for even those littler kids who can't ride it, like let's build a playground. Like, let's have a playground for them to play on while their big brother or big sister goes on. We want them to have something fun to do too. And so the way that, it's situated, it's right by the track. So the track literally flies right by them. We made sure that we put a lot of benches and a lot of misters and a lot of shade and just creature comforts down there so that a family will be comfortable spending a lot of time down in that area, even if they're not necessarily riding the ride. And it's in a very centralized location too. So Thunderbird and Voyage and Mayflower and Gobbler Getaway are all within walking distance. So if the older brothers and sisters want to go check out one of those attractions while the littler ones are on Good Gravy, they have a great meeting spot to come back to. And so just seeing how united, I guess, that families are, and how they're sticking together and doing more things together while they're at the park, that's been very rewarding.
So you mentioned more people enjoy it than thought they were going to enjoy. You mentioned your 15-year-old son, but from a general guest standpoint, what's the feedback been?
It's been phenomenal. Yeah. And that's something, we've been trying to, I like going and standing out in the plaza, and I like standing outside of, the exit, just to say, what'd you think? How did that meet your expectations? And by and large, everybody's like, that was way better than we ever thought that it would be, or this was exactly what we had hoped it would be, or, we're going to tell everybody they need to come check this out. So the reaction has been overwhelmingly positive for us.
That's
Matt, as the ride is now opened, you've had several weeks. Have you noticed any particular trends in who is enjoying Good Gravy? Maybe the most. Is it popular with certain age groups or certain types of visitors?
I don't know that I've necessarily identified a certain group per se, because I feel like it has been so well received by everyone. I think if anything, it's probably been families with those children that are in the age range of 4 to 7, because it is a great place to just take your kids, and even the kids who can ride the coaster in that age group, they still like playing on the playground too. And it's a nice place for mom and dad or grandma and grandpa to just sit down and take a break, take a breather from everything else in the park. Because again, we are a big park. Like we have a lot of acreage to cover. So I think by the time that they either make it to Good Gravy or before they start their day, if that's where they started, it's a good place for them to just kind of take a load off and relax. So I would say probably the families with children in the elementary to middle school age.
So Matt, Good Gravy, the theme overall, kind of a big risk there. It's quirky, it's different, and obviously it paid off. So how would you say that what you guys have learned from the experience of, having an attraction like, well, let's just say Good Gravy in general, how would you learn from Good Gravy in a manner that it will affect attractions moving forward, and maybe the themes of attractions moving forward? Is there a lesson to be learned there?
Yeah, definitely a lesson that was learned that's both good and bad. The lesson that was good is it's been fantastic. It's been better than we ever dreamed it would be. And the bad thing is I said that we've set the bar so incredibly high for ourselves, that anything we do from this point is going to have to be as good as or better than the theming that we put into this attraction. And we're talking about what's coming next, and we're already talking about, okay, well, this is what we got to do. These are the things that we have to do to make sure that this is Good Gravy level. But you're right. We took a huge risk. It was a huge risk. And when we started talking about the concept, and we started talking about, can we shape the trains like a gravy boat? Like that's crazy. That's weird. And Bacoma was like, yeah, we've never done anything like this before. But again, I go back to, that's who we are. We're quirky and we're fun, and let's embrace that. Like let's embrace who we are, and let's embrace the personality and the brand of the park that we've created, and let's just make sure that we keep doing that even bigger and better as we grow.
Matt, in addition to Good Gravy, Holiday World also home to a trio of outstanding wooden roller coasters. You've got the Voyage, the Legend, the Raven. A lot of track work done. during the off season on the Voyage. To me, it's running better than it ever has. I was just blown away by how good it was running when I was there a couple weeks ago. You have to be really proud of these coasters.
I'm incredibly proud of these coasters. I'm incredibly proud of our coaster mechanics, our coaster guys who work on these attractions every single day, day in, day out, 365 days of the year. But like you said, we did a ton of retracking on the Voyage coaster, about 25% of the track, and it, no joke, is like a new coaster. Historic, the Voyage is relentless. Like the Voyage is, when Will came up with that concept, I told him, I'm like, it's almost too much. Like it's just almost too much. It's just right there. But that's what makes it so fantastic. And over the years, as I've gotten older, I would ride the Voyage maybe once. I'd be ready to ride it again in a couple of weeks. I needed a break. After we did the track work and went out and rode it with the coaster guys, I went the first round and I looked over. I was with my COO at the time, and I looked at him like, "Let's go again. Like, let's ride it again. This is rewritable." So I know it's rewritable for most people, but for me, like it's that smooth. Like it's running that fast, and it was a totally different ride, and just so incredibly proud of what our team has been able to do and the upkeep and maintenance that goes into wood coasters. Wood coasters are not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of work, and I feel like we've really done a good job with the three that we have.
Yeah, so you talk about the three. You've had such success with wooden coasters. What brought on the inspiration to put in Thunderbird, a kind of first of its kind launched wing coaster? Can you talk about that decision?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was we started talking about adding a steel coaster several years before Will passed away, and we had started having conversations with Bolidrim, Abelard, B&M about wanting to do a steel coaster, and we were just kind of trying to find, what is the right steel coaster for us? Because again, we're a family park. We're not a thrill coaster park per se. So we wanted to have a steel coaster that was exciting and new and different. And I kind of like to say I like to refer to us as the superlative park. Like we like to be the ST of something, whether that's the first or the tallest or the longest or the fastest. So we wanted to be the first of something that we did. Unfortunately, Will did pass away in 2010. And when I came on as president, I talked, the family and I talked, it's like, we want to continue this legacy. Like this is something that we need to make sure happens. We need to have a steel coaster as part of our portfolio. We need to have a steel coaster as an additional guest offering. So we, continued the conversations with B&M and we landed on, okay, let's go with a wing coaster. Like that seems like the right move for us, especially given our where we have the layout. We have it kind of going back through the woods. There's so many natural near miss elements with the trees and whatnot. But we wanted to make it the first of something. And so as we were talking through ideas and concepts, we were like, could we launch it out of the station? Like, could we just launch it out of the station into an Emelman? And can we do that? And they came back like, yeah, we can do that. So I'm like, okay, we're going to be the first launched wing coaster, and that's something that we are very, very proud of. And it's a fantastic ride. It fit and checked every single box that we had hoped that it would check. And I think that it's been a great lineup for the park, and it took us to another level. It really did. It kind of elevated us, I feel like, it was at that point in 2015 that, we went from here to here because we now had something that most other parks do have. And we're one of those parks now.
It's in a great location too. Like when you're sitting up there and you're having a meal, you can watch it, launch out of the station and you see it going through the loop and then the backside of it and that, so really good with where you located. But let's talk about Splashin Safari. It's one of the world's largest water parks. It's been named #1 in different industry and media polls, including USA Today. So talk about the added value that you have there with the water park. It's 2 parks for one price.
Yeah, sure. So, I kind of joke every now and then that, we're Holiday World and Splashin Safari, but a lot of times it feels like we're Splashin Safari and Holiday World, because a lot of people come for the water park because it is such, phenomenal offering that we have. We have not only water slides, but we have 3 water coasters. We have 3 water coasters in our water park, one of which holds a Guinness Book of World Record for being, the longest water coaster in the world. And we have a racing water coaster. So we have the Cheetah Chase. We have 2 toboggan style coasters racing each other, going on parallel tracks. So it's just a completely different offering that guests can't find other places. And we have 2 huge wave pools. We have a lazy river. We have, we've kind of become the show park, I think, for Pro Slide. Anytime they've came to us with a new concept of something they've been wanting to try or develop, we've been like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. Let's add it to our water park. And, it's definitely paid off for us in terms of creating an additional, like you said, Don, an additional value. You pay to come into Holiday World, but you don't have to pay any extra to go to Splashin Safari. So we're to the point now that we're not a one-day park anymore either. You pretty much need at least 2 days if you want to experience both Holiday World and Splashin Safari, because there's just so much to do.
Matt, Holiday World is getting kind of more and more known for the elevated dining experience. Can you talk about some of your favorite places to eat in the park?
Everywhere. That's part of my problem in the summer. I say all the time, I have my summer weight and my winter weight, and my summer weight seems to go up instead of down. Because again, our food offerings have just gotten so enhanced over the years. And I give a lot of credit to our food and beverage team of really trying to find ways to, again, think outside of the box and do things differently than what other parks do. One of my favorites is, in Thanksgiving, obviously, is Plymouth Rock Cafe. We have your traditional Thanksgiving dinner there every single day. So we have turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and green beans and, pumpkin pie. Like, we have a full Thanksgiving spread. So if you're wanting, a good, hearty, heavy meal, there's that. We just opened this year in the water park, Sam's Smokehouse. So it's barbecue, and we have corn ribs, and we have cornbread, and we have brisket, and we have all kinds of just really awesome barbecue offerings. Then we have a Mexican place that I love. It's kind of a Chipotle style where you build your own bowls, and you add what kind of protein you want, what kind of sauce you want. So there's literally something for everyone. We have one restaurant that's completely gluten-free. Like, everything in there is gluten-free. So if you have a gluten allergy, then we've got the place for you to go, because you won't have to worry about any kind of cross-contamination issues whatsoever, because everything there is gluten-free. St. Anne's Mary Marketplace, we opened that back in 2019. That's kind of a food court of sorts. So we have, some Asian offerings. We have pizza. We have burgers. We have chicken strips. We have salads. So there's, literally something for everyone in the park. And our food and beverage team has done a really good job too of, like, picking out items at each location and finding some kind of elevated item that they can offer that's kind of special to that location.
I was real impressed with the food that I've had the past couple of years there, and I had that double bacon cheeseburger on my last visit. That was off the charts good.
It's so good. It is so good. Yeah. Did you try the garlic cheese curds where you're there?
Yes, I did.
Those are amazing too.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. If you're a foodie fan, you don't have to ride the rides or go into the water park. Right. You could just go there and just enjoy the food and just eat something.
Our loaded tater tots. Did you try the loaded tater tots?
I saw them. I didn't try them. That's on my next visit.
Those are incredible too. So, yeah.
So real impressed with the culinary experience. Like, really impressed with that. But something else to be impressed about is your Holidays in the Sky that returns this year, starting June 22nd. Will run through August 4th. So what's in this show?
Yeah, so if you haven't had a chance to see Holidays in the Sky, you definitely need to come do that. So that started 2 years ago in 2022. We wanted to do something. We didn't have a big attraction that year. We weren't adding a new ride or anything like that. So we kind of sat down and said, well, what can we do, again, that's going to offer something unique and have people that will want to come? Let's look at our entertainment lineup. Like, what's something that we can put in our entertainment lineup that will appeal to our guests? And my VP of marketing came and said, hey, why don't we do a drone show? And again, I'm like, I've seen drone shows. Like, they're okay. He's like, no. He's like, let me show you what this company can do. And it's a company called Firefly out of Detroit. And we sat down and we looked at what they do, and I was just completely blown away. Like it's not just clip art in the sky, like it's actual like 3D animations, and the crowd absolutely loved it. So then last year we said, okay, well, we did 300 drones. What can we do to up the game? So we added another 100 drones. So we had 400 drones, and we had a DJ party before it all started. So we had a DJ and characters and entertainers out there having a dance party with kids. That blew up. That was just incredibly popular. We started offering a Holidays in the Sky VIP dessert where you could go to a VIP area and you had like a buffet of all kinds of different desserts. So then 2024 rolls around. We're like, okay, well now what? Like, what can we do? So it's like, let's add another 100 drones. So we're going to have 500 drones this year. So if you think of from a size perspective, it's like 2 football fields wide in the sky. That's how big it is. That's how massive it is. And we're holidays. It's Holidays in the Sky. We're Holiday World. So there's going to be some kind of holiday reference for each of those. So in the years past, we've done obviously Christmas and Thanksgiving and 4th of July, but there's other holidays too. There's St. Patrick's Day and so many other things that we can have fun with. And so I think you're going to really be surprised with what you see this year. And we're also going to have a guest interaction element with our drone show this year. So stay tuned for that, but that's going to be another neat experience that we're going to be able to offer to our guests.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So where's the best place to watch Holiday in the Sky within the park?
Yeah, so we actually have a dedicated plaza. It's a viewing plaza. It's actually down past Good Gravy. If you walk past the entrance to Good Gravy, it will take you to the Holidays in the Sky Plaza, and you can walk back there. That's where the dance party will take place. We have a field that's open where you can, if you don't want to, stay in the viewing area, you can go sit in the field and watch it from there. But pretty much anywhere in Thanksgiving, you're going to be able to get a really good viewing of it. We recommend not up in the Christmas area because your views are going to be more obstructed. But if you're down in Thanksgiving, definitely try to come down to the viewing plaza. That's the best place to see it.
Right, Matt, as you mentioned, you almost need 2 days there, so there's so much to see, so much to do at Holiday World and Splashin Safari. Got to ask, what's your favorite attraction there?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. So in both parks, or just in which park?
Just overall, if somebody said, "Okay, Matt, you can only ride one thing," what is Matt doing?
That's tough. That's really tough, Don. I'd probably have to say Thunderbird. I really would right now. No, I would have to take that back. I'd have to say Good Gravy, just because, again, of the experience and the emotion that is kind of tied to that for me. But I'd ride them all. I like them all. That's a hard question to answer.
It's like picking a favorite kid, isn't it?
Except Gobbler Getaway. I don't like it. I'm not good at it at all. I've never been good at Gobbler Getaway. My kids always beat me at it. So it's always been kind of a sore subject in my house. I'm not riding Gobbler Getaway.
I'm getting better at that one.
Ugh.
All right. So, if somebody wants to one day be the general manager of a park president, whatever the title, constitutes, what advice would you give them?
I think, and again, another great question. And one of the things that I do is I'm very involved with our association. It's the International Association. And I like when I'm at the association to talk to younger students who are wanting to get into this industry. So there are, the ambassadors and just students who come to like Career Slam. And I like sitting down and talking to them. And one thing I tell them is don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do something, and don't ever feel like you're pigeonholed on a career path that you don't think you're going to want to end up in. And again, I'm a perfect example. I'm a CPA. Did I ever think that I would be the president of the world's greatest theme park? Absolutely not. But I knew that I was going to always keep my eyes and ears open for what made me happy. And if the theme park industry is something that you're very passionate about, don't be dissuaded to go do something else. Find your way in, whether that's starting off seasonally. We have so many of our full-time employees who started out as seasonal employees and have progressed because of their love and their passion for the theme park industry. So just find a way. That would be my advice, is find a way to get your foot in that door. Find your way to make sure that your passion plays out the way that you want it to play out, and don't let anyone tell you how it should be. You define how it should be.
All right. So Matt, anyone that's looking for more information on Holiday World, what's the best place to go on? Whether it's the web, social media, what are those different addresses, URLs?
Definitely our website. We just redid our website this year, and so holidayworld.com. Literally, you can find out anything and everything you possibly could want to know. Our team did such a good job with making sure that it was very thorough and could answer every question you may have. We also have a Facebook page. We also have, you can reach out to us on Facebook and you can make comments, and we respond to every single question that comes in, whether that's through our email. You can email us at fun@holidayworld.com. We respond to every single email that you send. So there's lots of ways to get in touch. And like I said earlier, we listen to our guests. We listen to what you have to say. We listen to what we can do better. We're not perfect. And we want to know what ways we can, constantly improve and be the place that our guests want to be.
So Matt, I want to thank you for being on the show. I mean, it really is an honor. So Holiday World is Santa Claus, Indiana. It's about an hour west of Louisville. How would you describe where you are?
I like to say we're not close to anything, but we're not far either. We're kind of centrally located to Evansville, Indianapolis, Nashville, St. Louis, Louisville. None of those are more than a 3-hour drive. Indianapolis is probably the farthest for us. Nashville, surprisingly, this surprises a lot of people. We had trouble convincing people in Nashville that we're only a little over 2 hours away from Nashville. It seems like it's a lot farther, but it's not. So yeah, we're about an hour away from Louisville. We're an hour away from Evansville. We're 2 hours away from Nashville, and then 3 hours from St. Louis and Indianapolis. So it's an easy day drive from any of those locations.
Yeah, so make sure you check out Holiday World. 3 wonderful wooden coasters, a fantastic wing coaster. My favorite wing coaster, by the way. Just going to say it, right? Good gravy is an experience all in itself, and it's hard to describe. We did as best as we could with this. One of the world's greatest water parks, and a happy, friendly staff. So go check them out.
Don't forget the food.
And don't forget. I was going to mention the food, but I was on such a roll, I was afraid I'd screw it up.
Right.
You have Thanksgiving dinner there every day.
That's right.
But yeah, thanks again, Matt. Hey, stick around. We got the Big Six coming up next.